Some of you have chosen more complicated designs, like this one here. You still want to follow the same basic rules. You're only using one pair of complementary colors, so 2 colors. You're going to alternate your spaces, and you don't want any of your colors to be side by side or touching. For the most part, we know that sometimes this happens, and that's okay. For this one, I'm going to use red and green. So instead of starting from the top, I'm going to start from the center just for demonstration purposes, so that way I can get to show you what happens when we overlap the circle with our lines here. If you find it helpful, you can paint the background first and then the shape, so you have a better idea of what is going to touch and what isn't going to touch. If you have a lot of spaces to fill in like this one, and you think it might be a little hard to keep track of which space is red and which is green, you can label them before you paint. This is one option. But it's really important to label very lightly with your pencil and to erase it before you paint over it. Since we're using watercolors, they're pretty see-through, which means you'll probably see your pencil line underneath your pencil letter if you don't erase it. So if this one is green, we're doing every other, so that means this one will be red, this one green, red, green. One to the right of it will be green, red. This one will be green, red. So let's just work on the outside for now, and then we will get into the sphere. So now that I know this is going to be red, before I go to paint it, even though I drew light, I'm going to erase it. If you want to paint right over your pencil lines and leave them underneath of there, you can do that. You just remember, you just might see it in your final product. This is what happens if you paint over top of one of the letters. I'll show you what it looks like. You can still see it underneath. Even if you use a lot of watercolor to try and make it darker, you're still gonna see that letter underneath. So if that's something that might bother you, you might wanna erase it beforehand. Or if it's helpful, you can you can just label all the green spaces and then do all the green and then not label the reds, because you know if it's not green, it has to be red. This is an option too. So I'm gonna alternate kind of like a checker pattern every other in my background, red and green for this design. I'm gonna tackle our circle or sphere after I do the background. You're gonna have to start with just one of your outer parts. So if I'm gonna look at this shape here, I notice that it's touching red and green, but it's mostly touching green because it's touching 2 green squares. So I don't want to have more green here, because then it's just going to look like these squares extend into the sphere and they're not separate. So I'm going to pick red for this part, and that's where I will start. Helps to just choose an outer edge and then choose the opposite color of what's touching it to get started. So if this one's red, the one across from it is going to be red, because you don't want these ones to be red since they're touching it. Sometimes it helps to just paint in some spaces that show the same color first, then you don't have to rinse your brush as much. So it's easier to paint the red spaces first and then the green, or vice versa. So what I'm going to do is paint in all of the red spaces first. I want to make sure that they're not touching each other within the sphere, and try my best to have them not touching the outside of the sphere, but sometimes this happens. Now that I have the inside of this circle painted, every other with red, I'm going to go back and fill in my green. Now I have a space here where my green is going to touch my green. That's okay because for the most part, you see it doesn't touch where these two reds are. If you notice that you start to accidentally mix your colors together a little bit and it gets a little muddy, that's okay. Well, if it's still wet, what you can do is you can kind of dab up some of that color. The watercolor should come right up. That way you can fix it. You can go back, fix your red here, and then fix your green there. I'm going to continue painting in the rest of my spaces here green, and then I'm going to alternate for the rest of my paper with the red and green.